Hi guys, welcome back to Hey Brittany. So I'm very excited to be doing this video for you guys because this is my video about my 20-pound weight loss. And so let's go ahead and get into all of the good stuff. So let's talk about why I wanted to lose weight. It's been a while since I recorded my last video, but in that video I just really didn't like the way that I looked on camera. My chest looked big. I felt like I could see kind of like the weight in my midsection because I know like how I looked off camera. And then my arms were a little bit bigger, and the way I was sitting when I was taking my headshot for like the video thumbnail, I really just didn't feel comfortable in how I looked. And so obviously up until that point I was fine. I was like, okay, I'm gaining weight, I'm gonna be thicker, whatever, people are gonna love it, whatever. The problem was I didn't love it as much anymore, and so that was really what inspired me to go and make that change because I just wasn't comfortable in my skin anymore. The jeans that I had prior to moving no longer fit, and I had had those modified prior to leaving. So these jeans are super old. I got them probably early 2017 or something like that, and I was probably around 155 or something like that at that point. And what I like to do is I hated wearing belts with my jeans. They just looked weird under your shirt and everything like that. And so I had gotten a lot of my jeans altered so that the waist was taken in so that I wouldn't have to wear a belt. And so just prior to moving here, like maybe like 2 weeks before I moved, I had gotten the jeans I could get fixed. I had gotten them let back out so that I could be able to wear those jeans. So I already knew that I was having trouble fitting into my jeans prior to moving, but I was also in athletic clothes, sportswear all the time, and so I never really had that kind of like, when you wear jeans, if you can't fit into them, you know something's wrong. With like leggings and shorts and stuff like that, you don't really get that same feedback. And so because I wasn't wearing jeans as much anyway, I was just like, let's let them back out because that's how they came. You were just being extra and getting them taken in. I didn't really need to get them taken in. I could have just worn a belt. I could have found some other type of way to modify them without actually going to someone to have the jeans taken in. And I didn't want to feel bad about doing that because I know that that's what I preferred. I didn't want to have to wear a belt and everything like that. So I probably would, if I buy new jeans, I probably would continue getting them taken in if I needed to, and just be very mindful of my weight going forward so that I don't have to kind of like waste money on jeans, because some of the jeans I couldn't fix. I have a pair of boyfriend jeans that I really love, and I got them taken in because when I bought them, they were size 6, and when I bought them, they were like way too big, and so I should have gotten a size 4. Instead of sizing down, I just went ahead and got the jeans taken in. And so even with me taking them in, they were still really loose on me, but with me gaining weight, they became more fitted, and then eventually they became too tight, and so that's when I wanted to let them out, and nobody would do it actually, and so I had to do it myself. The reason why nobody would do it was because they knew that the material that had been taken in was gone. So sometimes what they'll do is they will just fold the extra material inside of a steam, however they do it, and then that's that. With this particular pair of pants, they actually cut out the excess material and then kind of just stitched it back up, and so there was nothing for them to let out. And so I was able to find a pair of similar jeans. They're not exactly the same jeans because the jeans that I have are boyfriend jeans. The jeans that I found are more like just regular skinny jeans, but they're the same shade, the same material and stuff like that. And so I'm gonna use that material to fix those jeans. But yeah, so in a long roundabout way, that is why I decided to go ahead and lose weight, because I just wasn't really feeling comfortable in my skin anymore. I didn't really like what I saw when I was looking in the mirror, and so that is what inspired me to start my journey of losing weight. And I started that journey at the end of August, I believe. August 31st was the last day that I weighed myself before I went on this journey, and at that time I was 186, and it's been a very interesting journey since that time. I'm very appreciative of all of the things I've gone through and all of the things I've learned while on this weight loss journey, and I'm super excited to share all of that with you guys. So before we get into everything that I kind of went through on my weight loss journey, I do want to talk about what it was as far as exercise and working out that made me realize that I needed to do a lot more. So when I noticed that I had gained weight, I got to this point, okay, I'm 186, I'm just gaining more weight. I realized, okay, let me start getting back into working out. And so I think I started with doing sprints on the bike, and I would burn maybe say about almost 200 calories. I think it's actually between 150 and 200 calories, and that would be my workout. Sometimes I would walk on the treadmill, but I realized, hey, you know, this is not actually making a difference really in in terms of your calories for the day and what you're eating. You're gonna have to do a little bit more. And so that led me to do some research on, you know, losing weight, calorie budgets, calorie deficits, and things like that. So one of the interesting things that I found out is that in order to lose a pound of weight a week, you need to have a calorie deficit of 500 calories. The interesting thing that I found out is that in order to lose a pound each week, you need to have a calorie deficit of 500 calories. This means that you need to burn 500 more calories than the calories that you have eaten. And so this was really what I had in mind going forward. So I knew that what I currently was doing wasn't enough, and I needed to really ramp up and do a lot more. From here is where I really started my journey on August 31st to lose weight, and I'm going to include just a few pictures to show you the difference in my body from when I started this process to where I am now. And I'm also going to show you guys a historical view of my weight over time. Because of the scale that I've been using, I have my weights all the way back to like maybe 2018, I think. It might be 2019, I'm not sure. But I can see how my weight has changed over time, and so you'll be able to see that as well. And then also I have some great tips for you guys, and so let's just go ahead and get into the rest of the video. Okay, so let's talk about what my weight loss goal is. So I mentioned that at the time that I had this realization that I wanted to commit to losing weight, I was officially 186 pounds, and my goal was to get back down to 160. So I haven't been 160 in probably almost 2 years, and so I would love to get back down to 155 even, but my goal officially was to get back down to 160. The reason why I decided on 160 is because I was around 165, 166 when I had moved to my new home, and I knew that 160 was kind of where I was operating before. When I was working out, I was closer to 155, and so I don't know if I want to go quite that low, but I really wanted to see if I could just get myself as close to 160 as possible, and then kind of discuss it further if I wanted to continue losing more weight. So looking back, I remember on August 31st when I committed to losing weight, I had weighed myself and I was committed to weighing myself for every day of this process. And so I have all of my weights from August 31st to January 12th, which is what today is. And the first 5 pounds were kind of easy to lose because they were just water weight, and so that kind of, and I understood that it was water weight kind of, maybe not right away, but quickly after. And so that kind of set me up a little bit because I was like, oh, it's just gonna be really easy to lose weight, but really it was just the water weight, and there was a lot of effort that had to go into actively working to lose weight and to get to the goal weight that I wanted to reach. So now let's talk about the things that were really instrumental in helping me to lose weight. So I have a Charge 2 Fitbit watch that I have been using probably since 2016. I have not gotten a new one yet, but I really love this watch. The main reason why I got it was because I did want a fitness tracker, but then I also realized that it has silent alarms and they vibrate. And so being that I have a hearing loss, I do need a vibrating alarm clock to help get me up in the morning and get me to work on time and things like that. And so I really loved this watch, and it was very instrumental and valuable in keeping me accountable to my goal of losing weight, because what I was using it for before is obviously working out, but I really love like the custom watch faces that you can have. And right now, and I can show you a picture on the screen, but right now mine is set to have my heart rate and to have my total calories burned for the day. And so the reason why I have my heart rate up there is because when I was working, I would have a lot of anxiety when I was going into meetings where I would have to talk a lot. And so I would just kind of look down at my watch to see what my heart rate was. And if it was really high, like over 100 or something like that, it would let me know that I needed to start doing something to calm down, so that in the meeting when I had to talk, I wasn't as anxious. And sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't, whatever. But it was just really helpful for me to see that number. And so actually what it was before me going on this weight loss journey, it was my heart rate and then maybe like my steps or something like that. And so I tweaked the face so that it was showing me the data that I cared about and that was important to me on this weight loss journey. So right now it's set at my heart rate to tell me what my heart rate is currently. And that's the thing with the Apple Watch that I didn't like, was that it didn't tell you in real time what your heart rate was. It told you kind of like, oh, 2 minutes ago your heart rate was just whatever. And so that really annoyed me. I do have an Apple Watch, but I literally do not use it. I just don't like the idea of being so accessible on my phone and on my watch. And so I really just wanted something to track fitness, and everybody else in my family uses a Fitbit, and so I didn't want to be the person with the Apple Watch who is tracking things a little bit differently and just kind of going through a different process of kind of like trying to do the same thing. It was just easier to use my Fitbit and kind of communicate with my family in that language, if that makes sense. And so right now my watch face is set to show my heart rate, to show my total calorie burn, and then on the second screen you'll see my steps and then my active minutes. I don't really care so much about my steps, and so I think it's really important to highlight that you really focus on the calories that you're burning from exercise and then what your total calorie number is for the day. And then active minutes, I don't really care so much about that either, but it is good to see because I think for this week I've been averaging about 107 minutes, active minutes. And so obviously that's a good number, but it's not the number that I am gauging myself on, but it's just good to know because I want to throw that out there, because for you on your weight loss journey, or if you know someone who is on a weight loss journey, different things might appeal to them a little bit more than what appealed to me. And so I just want to give you guys all of the information and the tweaks and the workarounds so that it is helpful for you guys if you are pursuing a weight loss journey. So that is one thing that was really valuable to me on this weight loss journey. The other thing was MyFitnessPal. So obviously MyFitnessPal is a way to track your meals, and prior to this weight loss journey I did not care anything about calories. I was literally eating whatever I wanted to, and this was easier when I was actively playing basketball. I played in college, and then this was also easier when I was still working out, not as much as I was when I was playing basketball, but I was still staying active, and so my meals weren't quite catching up with me. And so it wasn't until now in this weight gain that I really had to think about what I was eating, the calories and everything that I was consuming, and then how that was affecting me in terms of the workouts that I needed to do and how much calories I needed to burn to make up for what I was eating. So I hope that makes sense. Okay, so the next thing I want to talk about is setting a calorie budget for what you can eat. This was the hardest part for me because I know that they have different formulas and calculations online, and so one of the first numbers that I got was that I could only eat like 1,580 calories of food a day, and then I did try that and I was like, this is way too low. I can't eat anything. I was not willing to commit to that number at all. And so I was able to kind of like tweak the formula to not be as aggressive. And then I think my next number that I got was like maybe 1,800 or something like that. And I was like, this is a little bit better, but it's still too low. And then finally I was able to just decide on 2,000 calories as my daily calorie budget for what I could eat. And the reason why I decided on this number is because it was obviously higher than 1,800, but then also this is the number that you see on a lot of the nutritional information on the back side of whatever you're buying. And so this just seemed like a really common number and it seemed like just a great number to work with, and so that was my calorie budget. I am gonna say something a little bit later that is kind of going to make that number a little bit irrelevant, but having a calorie budget is still a great thing to have because it keeps you accountable for what you are eating. So I'm gonna go ahead and say it now. The reason why I realized that my calorie budget of 2,000 calories a day in food wasn't quite as important as the calorie deficit is because basically I can eat whatever I want, but I have to be willing to do the physical workouts to counteract what I'm eating. So if I want to eat 2,500 calories of food a day, that's totally fine. That means I need to have burned a total of 3,000 calories or more to offset the extra 500 calories of food that I've eaten, if that makes sense. So basically, if you want to eat over 2,000 calories, you can. You just need to be prepared to do the extra workouts to make up for that. And to give you an example, I was going to talk about this later, but I'm going to bring this up now since I'm talking about it. One of the workouts that I do is steps, and that takes me about 45 minutes. So it takes me about 45 minutes to burn 500 calories. So if you are eating 1,000 calories over your budget, that means that you need to do at least 2 hours of extra workout to make up for that extra 1,000 calories of food that you ate. So if you are a really busy person, you don't have a lot of time in your day to spend 2 extra hours working out, that tells you right there that you should not be eating 1,000 calories. And so when you think of it like that, that makes it so much easier for you to make your decision about what you're eating and then how much working out you're doing to offset what you're eating. So now that we've discussed the importance of setting a calorie budget for what you can eat, and then also talked about the importance of a calorie deficit, I'm gonna go ahead and say right now that I was committed to burning 500 extra calories a day to offset what I was eating. So this was really helpful for me because this was the mindset that I had throughout this journey of losing weight. I knew that regardless of what I ate, I needed to burn an extra 500 calories so that there was a deficit. I committed to not going below that, and it was really hard, and I'm going to talk about that a little bit later, but it was just really important for me to know going into this what my goals were and what I was willing to commit to, because if I had said that I wanted to commit to having a 1,000 calorie deficit, that is going to be much harder. Now that I know the work that goes into just maintaining a 500 calorie deficit, I know that it would have been insane for me to commit to burning 1,000 calories extra a day, just because that requires so much more working out, and it's not something that I would have been able to keep up long term because I would have gotten drained faster, I would have gotten frustrated faster. And now that I'm out of work, I obviously have that time to spend working out, but most people do not. And so I'm really glad that I was able to do all of the research and kind of figure out what was going to work best for me and what I was willing to commit to, and more importantly, what I was mentally capable of committing to, because you don't want to put too much on your body because this process is already stressful enough, especially if you have more weight to lose. Like, I only had 25 pounds to lose, which is still a lot, but even I got very frustrated during this process because it just felt like it was too much at times. And so I want you to be realistic in what numbers you're setting for yourself and what you're able to commit to, because this is not just going to be a month-long journey. For some of you, it may be, depending on how much weight you have to lose, but for those of you who might spend 5 months, 6 months to a year or more on losing weight, you want to make sure that you are setting something that is very realistic and something that isn't going to be too stressful for you. The other thing that I wanted to highlight about calorie budgets and calorie deficit is that it was initially said to me that, you know, you can just lose weight by changing your diet, and obviously that works if you're willing to have a lower calorie budget, meaning that you're willing to eat less food. That was not something, as I've said several times, that I was willing to commit to. And obviously if you eat less, you don't have to work out as much, but the problem for me is that you are really having to cut out a lot of foods that you want to eat. Even in moderation, you're not going to be able to have that because your calorie budget is so restricted. And so you really have to decide what it is that works for you. If you want to eat less food, go ahead and do that. That means you just have to work out less, or you don't have to work out as much. And for some people, that may be the trade-off that they were willing to make. For me, it was more that I'm willing to work out more so that I can eat the things that I enjoy in moderation. So yeah. Okay, so now let's go ahead and talk about the diet modifications that I made while on this weight loss journey. And so with me moving back to the South, I was so excited for authentic sweet tea. When I lived up north, nobody obviously had sweet tea, and so I could obviously try to make it at home, but it wasn't a complicated process. I just wasn't committed to doing that. And then there were some stores that would sell actual sweet tea. I would buy that for a little bit and then kind of like get over it and whatever. And so I was really excited to move back to the South where I'm from and have sweet tea again. And so I was pretty much drinking it all the time whenever I could get it. And every time, for example, I would go to Zaxby's, I would get like the biggest cup that they had and get sweet tea, and sometimes their sweet tea is really sweet, so you're getting a lot of sugar. And so I didn't care about the calories or anything like that. So from the time I moved here to the time I got to 186 pounds, I was drinking a lot of sweet tea, didn't care about the calories, was just super excited to be drinking it. And when I started this weight loss journey, I realized that with my calorie budget being 2,000 calories, yes, I could eat the things that I wanted to eat, but I had to do that in moderation. That applied to what I was drinking as well. And so growing up, I drank Cokes and sweet tea a lot. I was also a basketball player, so I was very active. So what I ate didn't really have an effect on my body. Like I literally could not gain weight. And so the things I was able to drink back then, as far as Cokes and sweet teas and things like that, I don't drink as much now. So I rarely have a Coke, and it's so crazy because I really used to get that as my drink of choice every time we ate out, and so to now not drink that as much is really crazy because I just really love drinking Coca-Cola so much. And so anyway, I will occasionally have like a Coke maybe once every 2 months or something like that. I really don't drink Cokes anymore. I drink ginger ale a little bit more, but only like when I have an upset stomach or something like that, or I just want something that is a little bit different from Coke. I'll just drink a ginger ale. But mainly my drink of choice has been drinking sweet tea. I also really love drinking Propel kiwi strawberry water. I started drinking that in college, and I was obsessed with the blue bottles that they had, the blue Gatorade bottles, and I was so annoyed when they transitioned to those clear bottles that look like soft drink bottles, and it was so annoying. So I definitely wrote to them. It's like, hey, you need to go back to these blue bottles. Those were like really not necessarily iconic, but you really knew what product that was when you saw those blue bottles for the Propel drinks. And so yeah, everything as far as what I was eating and drinking had to be done in moderation. That is definitely a huge part in why I have been successful in being able to lose 20 pounds so far. So I do eat out quite a bit, and so one of the places I go to is Chipotle. I used to get a steak 3-pointer, so that's just steak and rice. Initially, when I first went to Chipotle, I was eating the chicken, and then I transitioned to steak and whatever. And then maybe within the last 5 or 6 years, I started getting the corn and the green salsa. My thing when I would go to Chipotle is I would always ask for extra rice and extra steak if the person would give it to me. And obviously I wasn't really concerned with the calories. I just wanted to eat as much food as I could and enjoy it. And so that was something that I had to cut back on. I stopped asking for extra rice. I know what they're supposed to be like 4 ounces. I would probably get maybe like 8 ounces or something like that now, and that's totally fine. And then just whatever steak they would give me, and then the corn and the salsa. And I think that averages out to about maybe just under 700 calories, which is not bad if you're eating like 3 meals a day. And for the most part, because I like to work out in the morning, I'm getting myself used to not eating breakfast in the morning. So initially I would have like yogurt and granola and stuff like that, a bagel, sourdough bread, whatever. But now I'm kind of like in the habit of not really eating anything for breakfast. That may change when I'm not working out as much, but really my 2,000 calorie budget is split between lunch and dinner. I would also eat wings a lot. I love boneless wings. I even love having the chicken tenders, and so I definitely eat wings a lot, but I've had to cut back on that because there is a place that I go to where you can get 3 tenders in the buffalo sauce, and then you can either get chips or fries, and their chips and their fries are 700 calories each, and so the wings themselves are almost 700 calories as well. So that's 1,400 calories just in one meal. And I'm actually going to give you an example of my fattiest meal, but we'll get to that in a bit. But anyway, so that's just 1,400 calories in one meal. And so if I'm eating like that every meal, it's easy to see why I gained weight, because the way I was eating in hindsight was just really crazy. And so to tell you about my fattiest meal, I love going to Shake Shack to get a burger. I actually grew up eating burgers from Steak and Shake, but it's way too far and I'm not gonna drive there to get it. But anyway, so I would get a double plain hamburger from Shake Shack. So I think that's about maybe, I think it's 400 or 500 calories, the 2 patties in the burger, and then the fries are like, I think like an extra 500 calories, and then the chocolate shake is like 700 calories or something like that. And so again, you can see how much food I was eating in terms of calories just in one sitting. And sometimes I would have a heavy dinner after that, or I would eat a heavier breakfast before that. And so you can again see how I was gaining so much weight if I was eating like that every day or multiple days a week. So in terms of the wings, to go back to that, what really helped with the wings is the main thing that I want from a wing place. And so I committed to just getting 3 tenders with the buffalo sauce, but instead of getting their fries or their chips, I would make my own fries at home that were way less calories, And so making that change was just really helpful because it took me down from 1,400 calories down to maybe about 1,000 or less calories. And so that was really helpful. The other thing that you can substitute the fries and the chips for is a small salad with a healthier type of salad dressing. So there are definitely things that you can substitute for to make your meal more calorie friendly while still being able to enjoy eating the things that you really enjoy eating. I also still eat Chinese food. There's no real modifications that I make with that. Sometimes I eat chicken and broccoli and garlic sauce. Sometimes I really just don't want the broccoli, and so I'll just eat the chicken, but I'll ask for it with just chicken and garlic sauce. It does come with like a 12-ounce thing of rice, and so what I've started doing is just eating half of that, and that makes a huge difference because I'm not eating 12 ounces of rice, obviously. The only thing to be concerned about with Chinese food is obviously the sodium, and so if you are into taking water pills, that's definitely a moment where you could take a water pill if you're able to take one. It's definitely very helpful because you won't retain all of that water weight that comes from the sodium that's in that type of meal. If you are someone who is able to take a water pill, definitely take a water pill for meals like that because you'll be able to enjoy the things that you like eating, but you won't really have to deal with the weight gain that comes from it. Even though it's water weight, you won't really have to feel like you're being set back just because you had one meal that may have had too much sodium. So I also am eating Bojangles. I don't have Bojangles as much as I used to when I was younger, and I definitely do not have it as much as I did when I first moved here. I did have to make modifications, and I'm really bad at it because I just had it Bojangles like maybe 2 times in the past 2 weeks, and both times I got 4 Supremes with large fries, and then I got a large unsweetened tea, which is good because we talked about sweet tea earlier, but I really need to cut it down to maybe like 3 Supremes and medium fries just to make that a more calorie friendly meal. I think it rounds out to about 1,000 calories with the 4 Supremes and the large fries, whatever. That's something that I'm conscious of, but I haven't quite been able to make the changes that I want to make with that particular meal, but I definitely have made the modifications for other meals that I'm eating. So the biggest thing that I've cut out in my diet is Cold Stone ice cream. Oh my god, I love going to ice cream places where they do the mix-ins in front of you. I grew up going to Marble Slab. The ice cream is amazing, but I haven't really enjoyed it since moving back home, so I go to Cold Stone more. And I would do a create your own, and I would always get like the Gotta Have It size. I think, was it the Gotta Have It? I think I would get the Love It, and because they give you a little bit more, it ends up being a Gotta Have It, whatever. But what I was getting had a lot of calories in it, basically. So the ice cream, I'm gonna do it off of a gallon size. The ice cream itself for a gallon, I think, is like 3,500 calories, and then obviously all of the mix-ins that I would add. So I would add chocolate chips, brownies, coconut, almonds, and then maybe chocolate chips if I didn't say that already, and then fudge. And so that for about, I try to do the calculations on my own, and for about 5 ounces of that I took about 700 calories. And so I was definitely eating a lot more than 5 ounces of that, and I would have it several times a week, and I would literally go maybe twice a month to buy a gallon. Maybe not twice a month, maybe a month. Maybe I was initially going twice a month to buy a gallon, but then I was like, hey, you know, you have to stretch this out because it is expensive. And so I would get it more to like about a gallon a month or whatever. And I had to completely cut that out during this weight loss journey because I didn't want to buy the ice cream. I was able to eat just 5 ounces of it, but I didn't want to feel like I had to eat the ice cream to not waste it. And so to just get rid of that temptation, I stopped buying it and I replaced it with ice cream from the grocery store. So I really love Ben & Jerry's chocolate fudge brownie, whatever, ice cream. And I used to add mix-ins to that, but now I just eat the ice cream when I want ice cream. And so I think eventually I will go back to Cold Stone to buy that create your own that I was eating, but I know that I really need to stick to like having 5 ounces of it, or just even make changes to the mix-ins that I have in it, because it is a high calorie dessert. And so that was something that I really had to cut out, but I was just so excited to have that kind of ice cream again, because where I lived in New York, there was nowhere like that nearby. They did have like a yogurt place, but it took like 20 minutes for the delivery, and then like the ice cream or the yogurt was melted by the time it got to you. And so I really was just stuck with eating store-brand ice cream, which I'm making it sound like it's worse than it is, but there's nothing wrong with store-bought ice cream. A lot of people really love it, but I also just really love the ice cream from places like Marble Slab and Cold Stone and stuff like that. And so I was really sad when I had to cut that out of my diet, but I think I'll be able to kind of like work it back in with those modifications in mind. Okay, so now let's go ahead and talk about the exercises that I was doing during this journey of losing weight. The main thing that I was doing is steps. So this is basically like a prison workout. I don't know where it was that I saw it, but I saw this scene in some movie or TV show, and basically this guy was in prison and he was running in place, he was jogging in place. And so my sister has also been doing steps forever. She's been doing them probably for like the last 3 or 4 years or whatever, and I would always make fun of her for doing it because it wasn't something that I was mentally prepared to do, and so I wasn't committed to doing just 15 minutes of steps. I was like, oh, this is boring, this is too hard, whatever. I don't want to do it, and so I would never really commit to doing it. And so during this weight loss journey, you know, I've been seeing her doing those steps, and so I was like, okay, I'm gonna do steps, because there are times, I have a treadmill and a bike in my house, and there are times when I don't even want to do that, but I know that I can do steps. I can go at my own pace, whatever. I can do steps without having to get changed into workout clothes, and I'm already wearing workout clothes. But when I'm on the treadmill and the bike, I wear different types of workout clothes, whatever. And so steps, it's just really easy for me to pop up from the couch and just do steps right in there. It's not like, okay, let me go work out, let me go change, let me go start up the treadmill, let me go turn on the bike, whatever. It's just really easy to pop into doing steps, if that makes sense. And so that was really valuable in helping me to get that calorie deficit that I was talking about, that 500 calorie plus deficit, because some days my deficit was bigger than 500 and sometimes it was just 500. And so the steps is very helpful because it allows me to be active without putting too much effort into being able to do the steps, if that makes sense. Like what I was saying with changing my clothes into the workout clothes that I wear for the treadmill and the bike, turning it on, just getting mentally prepared to do that type of workout, it was just way easier to do steps. And so that is definitely something that I recommend for you. You're literally just walking in place. And so the big thing with steps is that you either, with my Fitbit, when you're tracking a workout, you're either in fat burning zone, you're in cardio, and then I think you're in peak. And for some people, you may just be in fat burn the whole time, whatever. And the thing with that is, if you're in fat burn zone, your heart rate is lower and it's gonna take you longer to burn 500 calories. And so when I'm working out, my goal is to burn 500 calories. And so when I'm doing steps, I'm doing my steps until I get to 500 calories, and it takes me about 45 minutes. So if you're going slower, it's going to take you closer to an hour to get to that 500 calorie burn. So the thing I want to highlight is that when you're working out, the higher you can get your heart rate, the better, and the higher you can get your heart rate and keep it there, the better, because that means that you're burning more calories and you're going to be able to do that in less time. So I would rather spend 45 minutes doing steps than to spend an hour doing steps, because I just feel like that extra 15 minutes is really gonna drain me, because I'm used to going so hard when I'm doing my steps that another 15 minutes, unless I'm really energized or unless I'm listening to some really great music or I'm just really in the mood to keep going and work out for longer, it's just I would rather get my workout done in 45 minutes. I did have this one time where I was doing steps and I was watching a TV show, I was listening to music, and there was also basketball on, and I think I went for like an hour and a half, and it was just really crazy because I was just on another level that day to where I was just able to keep going and going. But on an everyday basis, that's not realistic. And so for me, it's been really helpful to keep myself in the cardio zone, have a high heart rate, and get my workout done in as little time as possible. The other thing that I've been doing to work out during this time is sprints on the bike. And so before, I used to really love doing sprints on the treadmill, but I did break my toe this past May or something like that, and I've never really been able to get back on the treadmill and sprint. I've been really just kind of like worried about doing it. And so the whole time that I was recovering from having a broken toe, I started doing sprints on the bike, and at first I hated it because it's just a totally different kind of workout than when you're running on the treadmill. I felt like when I was doing the sprint on the treadmill, it was more like effortless, and I was kind of really able to get into the workout and enjoy it. Whereas with the bike, it just feels like I have to really focus a little bit more, and I have to kind of, I don't know, it was just a really weird feeling. It's a workout that I'm not used to, and so I don't feel kind of like really comfortable and at that point where I can just be like effortless and how I'm doing the workout or whatever. It's really weird to explain. And so that I have had moments where I've not wanted to get on the bike to do the workout. I've been procrastinating, delaying it as long as possible, and I even went a week where I just skipped doing the bike completely, and I was really pissed off at myself for doing that, because I think I've been doing it maybe for like 16 weeks straight. So I had been on the bike at least once a week for 16 weeks straight, and then I took a week off, and I had to kind of like start that streak all over again, because it's very easy to build up the ability to do something, and then as soon as you take a week off or slack off, it's really hard to like get back to that point. Like you have to put more effort into getting back to that place, and then you're able to kind of coast from there or whatever. And so sprints on the bike has been very helpful for me. I have a Peloton bike, and what I do is I do 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off, and I think the resistance is at 35, whatever the metric is. And the reason why I'm doing it at that is because I'm trying to stimulate what it felt like when I was running on the treadmill, so that I could maintain that, so that if I were to get on the treadmill and do my usual workout, I think I was doing it at like maybe 6.5 or 7 miles per hour, 30 minutes on, 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off. I would hope that I would be able to maintain that even though I haven't actually been running on the treadmill, if that makes sense. So I want my body to be conditioned to kind of go at that pace. And so being able to do sprints on the bike has been super helpful, and it's something that I do maybe every other day. So I do steps every day. I'm always doing steps, but for the bike, I just do that every other day. And then what I would do after I do the sprints on the bike is I would go and walk on the treadmill at an incline. I think I started maybe I don't know the metrics for the incline, but say I was done at 3.0 and then walk at 3.5 miles per hour, and then eventually I started to raise the incline, and so the highest I've been able to get to is 6.5. I do know that there's a workout where your incline is at 12 something, and then you're walking at a pace of 3 miles per hour. I've tried that, but I've never been able to sustain that for 30 minutes, and so this is a modification to that, to where I'm doing it at the incline of 6 something and then walking at a speed of 3.5 miles per hour. And that has been helpful, doing those two workouts together, because it makes it easier for me to get to 500 calories for my workout. I did try to do that treadmill workout just by itself, to where I'm walking at an incline. It was the most miserable thing I've ever been through, because it was just so hard, because obviously when I'm doing the bike before and then I'm walking, I'm basically doing half of the workout. And so even though I'm on the treadmill for like 30 minutes, it just feels different coming from the bike, because I feel more energized. I feel like I'm able to commit to doing that workout because I know I need to do it. But when I tried to just do the walking part by itself, it was so awful. And it took me a lot longer than 45 minutes, I think, to get to 500 calories, and I just hated it, and I would never do that again. And so for me, it's so much easier to do steps than to walk at an incline as my entire workout. And then I do like the combination of doing the sprints before and then doing the rest of my workout walking at a incline. And so those were the 3 different workouts that I did during this weight loss process. Obviously steps is preferred, because you can do steps literally anywhere. If you don't have a treadmill or a bike, it's going to be a little bit harder. You can replicate doing the sprints with the steps. You can do steps for 30 seconds, rest, and then do steps for 30 seconds, and then just kind of repeat that. And so on the bike, I would do 20 sprints, and you could do the same thing with the steps. And so I do want to point out that when I took that week off from doing the sprint on the bike, what I realized is that HIIT workouts, they're very helpful in helping you to lose weight, just because of the high intensity that you're working at, and then like the interval training part of it. And so if you're able to add HIIT workouts into your workout routine, that is going to help you lose weight kind of more efficiently than just doing something like steps, where you're kind of like going at a consistent pace for a certain amount of time. And so just having that up and down as far as your heart rate in your workout is going to be really beneficial in your weight loss journey. So okay, so next I want to talk about the challenges I faced during this journey of trying to lose weight. The worst part of this journey was trying to lose weight during the holiday season. So obviously I mentioned that I started August 31st, and then I also talked about how I started this journey basically at the end of August, and so I had to deal with Thanksgiving and Christmas, and that was just awful, because I know that I want to eat as much food as I can during Thanksgiving and during Christmas, and so that was just really awful because it was in both months I had to step back to my weight loss as far as like where I was and what I weighed prior to eating those meals, and then where I was when the leftovers were gone. And so Thanksgiving was the worst part of it because I had gotten meals from a hibachi food truck, and I had gotten 2 meals, and they're both a lot of food, a lot of sodium and stuff like that. And so going into Thanksgiving, I probably went from 165 or something like that to 168, and then I was eating all of the Thanksgiving food. And what was hard about that is that I had to work out even more to offset what I was eating, because there was no way I was going to actually try to accurately count the calories for what I was eating. So I think I estimated that per plate was probably like 1,200 or 1,300 calories, and then I probably had maybe 2 plates a day, I'm not sure. Or if I didn't have 2 full plates, I would have like the sides and stuff like that. And so my point is that those meals that I was eating added up, and so I had to do extra workouts to compensate for what I was eating. And so during that time, I would try to get my total calorie burn to about 3,500 to 4,000 calories. And so that was really helpful because, one, I wasn't working, so I had a lot more time to commit to working out. So I would do the bike in the morning, walk on the treadmill, and then I would do my steps to burn 500 calories per like step workout. And so I did that probably about 4 times a day, up to 4 times a day, and it was really helpful in keeping me on track so that I didn't feel like, even though it's water weight, it would have completely thrown me off to get up to like 172 again, and then feel like I had to work my way all the way back down to 165 and then continue from there. And so it was really important to me that I did extra workouts during Thanksgiving and Christmas. And Christmas was a little bit better because I think I was able to get myself back down to 165 and then kind of went back up for Christmas. But my sister was like, hey, you know, let's just take a water pill. This will be helpful in getting rid of all of that sodium that's gonna cause the water weight. And so Christmas was a little bit easier because we did have the water weight pill that helped us, but I was still committed to doing extra workouts during that time just because of the type of food that I was eating. So that was really stressful for me because if I had thought about those things ahead of time, I probably would have delayed my weight loss journey until January, until now. And I can't imagine if I was just starting it now because I didn't want to deal with the holiday stuff. And so I'm really glad that I was able to push through those things during this process, because I can't imagine just now starting my weight loss journey after having been through it for the last 4 or 5 months, because it has been quite a journey. And I'm really glad that I experienced all of these different things during this process, because it helped to get me to where I am today as far as what I weigh, and then also the fact that I'm making this video and sharing all of my knowledge with you guys. And so yeah. The other thing that I really struggled with during this journey is there were a lot of days where I mentioned that I didn't want to get on the bike. I was trying to avoid it. I was procrastinating. I would skip it a day and then kind of say like, okay, let's just do it tomorrow, whatever. And so there were a lot of moments where I didn't want to do the sprint on the bike. There were moments where I didn't want to even do the steps. You know, I had to like force myself to do the steps. And then there were times where I just didn't really care about having a calorie deficit, and I really had to push through that because I didn't want to delay my weight loss goals or my fitness goals. And so when I first started this process of losing weight, I would actually do my steps. I would just do 500 calories in steps. I would just do them at 10 o'clock at night when I would retire to my room when I was by myself. And so that was my routine at the beginning of my weight loss journey, doing the steps in my bedroom at night, watching TV, whatever. And then I kind of transitioned to kind of doing the steps in the morning, and then kind of doing them at night as well. And then sometimes I would do it in the morning and then kind of do it just before going to my bedroom, so that I could just have that time to myself in my bedroom to watch TV and relax without actually having to do my steps. And so that's been helpful for me. You can obviously do the steps whenever you have time to do it. It was just easier for me in the beginning to do it at night before bed, and then kind of change my routine depending on how I was feeling and when I actually wanted to do the steps, because there's going to be times when you're like, oh, I don't want to do steps now, and it's like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Go ahead and do the steps. If you're not full from your lunch or whatever, if you haven't eaten lunch or whatever, if that's the time that you want to do steps, you can do the steps literally whenever you want to. And so that's just been helpful for me in understanding, one, I can have a schedule for when I want to work out, but then 2, really just doing the workout when I feel like doing it, when I'm motivated to do it, and just making sure that I keep myself accountable to do my workouts every single day. Because the struggle is that every day when you're on this weight loss journey, it's a conscious decision to do something that either hurts your weight loss or contributes to it. You can easily overeat by 1,000 calories, and then you got to figure out how to make up for it. And if you can't make up for it, then, you know, it kind of pushes things back a little bit. And then if you choose not to work out, how does that affect the rest of the week and whatever? And so, as I mentioned, I was weighing myself every day, and so I saw those little changes in the scale, and that would help me make tweaks. So like if I had Chinese food at the beginning, when I was eating Chinese food, I wasn't really thinking about the fact that there was sodium, a lot of sodium in the food, and then that it would lead to water weight gain. And so that is what helped me realize that I needed to limit how much Chinese food I was eating, especially if I wasn't even taking a water pill. And so just like little things like that make a huge difference. I know that in some sources they say, hey, you know, just weigh yourself weekly. It was really helpful for me to weigh myself every single day, because I could see day to day what those changes were, and it was more fresh in my mind. Like, hey, yesterday I had this meal, this is why the scale is changing, or yesterday I actually didn't burn 500 calories extra, whatever. It was just helpful for me to see the immediate effects and the impact that the things that I was doing day to day was having on the number that showed on the scale. The next thing I want to go into is what my plans are once I reach my goal weight. And so my goal weight is 160. I'm at this point 163.4, and so I do have 4 pounds to go basically. I think that may take another 2 to 3 weeks, I'm not quite sure. But anyway, I am planning to, once I reach 160, I am going to taper off with the workouts a little bit. I'm not going to be concerned about having a deficit. I am going to use my total calories burned as an indication of what I can eat for that day. So if I only burn 1,600 calories a day, I may just eat 1,600 calories, or I may work out to kind of allow myself to eat more and stuff like that. But I'm not going to be concerned about having a and that, sorry, to go back to that situation, that would just be me eating the calories back that I burned or whatever. But I'm not going to be concerned about having a calorie deficit. I think I might work out 30 minutes a day max compared to what I'm averaging right now, which is 107 minutes, just to show you that comparison. And so I am going to cut back on the workouts. I'm still going to try to do the sprints, because I did build up the tolerance and the endurance to be able to do those sprints, and so I don't want to have to start completely back over from zero with that. And so I am gonna continue doing that. Right now I'm doing it every other day, so that's probably about 4 days a week. I may cut back to maybe 2 or 3 times a week on the bike, but I still want to be able to do that. And then steps, I'll just continue doing those, but it will be part of the 300 calories that I plan to burn per day. And so we'll see how that works out. And obviously with me talking about not having a calorie deficit, I'm basically going to be eating back the calories I've just burned or whatever. And so we'll see how that works out, and I may need to make tweaks with that just to make sure that I am trending in the right direction and not unnecessarily gaining weight back. One thing that I do want to be super mindful once I hit my goal weight is that I really want to operate between 160 and 165, and so if I start to get over 165, I know that I really need to rein it in and cut back and get back down to that range of 160 and 165. I'm not sure if I'm gonna go below 160 and try to reach 155. I'm not sure if that's something that I want to do. It could be an option down the line, I'm not really sure. but I just want to give you kind of everything that I'm thinking as far as what I would do when I reach 160 officially. And so I'm super excited about that. And I know that my plan is that once I reach 160, I'm not going to immediately stop everything. I might want to operate maybe 2 or 3 weeks more at 160 just to kind of like stabilize that weight within myself, and then I can kind of taper off of everything that I'm doing. And so yeah, that is what my plans are once I reach my goal weight. And to go ahead and wrap up this video, I'm super happy that I sat down to share all of this knowledge with you guys and just share my experience with losing weight. It definitely was not easy. There were a lot of frustrating times and times that I was really just proud of myself for committing to eating right and doing the workouts that I enjoy doing. And so I hope this video has been helpful for you guys if you're planning to lose weight, if you're thinking about losing weight, and just know that you can definitely do anything that you set your mind to. Just make sure that it's something that is realistic for you. Don't set the bar too high at the beginning of this journey, because it is a long time consuming journey. And if you're someone who has 2 years of weight to lose or something like that, it's going to take you 2 years to lose all of the weight that you want to lose. You don't want to burn yourself out by setting the bar too high to where you just give up on your weight loss dreams. And so this is something that I'm super proud of myself for doing, because now that I know that I can lose this weight, I know that if I do have a child or something like that and I gain weight, I can refer to everything that I learned here in this journey to help me be successful when I want to lose weight again. And so yeah, I'm just super excited that this was something that I took on, that this was a challenge and a change that I was willing to make. And so I'm really super excited and proud of myself for where I am today. I do definitely feel better about myself when I look in the mirror. I do see the changes in my body from just everything that I've been through for the last 4 or 5 months. And so yeah, I'm just really proud of myself, and I hope all of this information I've shared with you has been super helpful. And I appreciate you guys for watching this video, and I hope you guys have a good one. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.